Hello and welcome to this very special conversation. Jim Rogers joining us on the occasion of Dhanteras here on India Today. We look forward to discussing why he continues to be so bullish on gold and on silver, on commodities at a time and on an occasion when everyone's out shopping for the precious metal.
Please go out and buy me some gold. It always looks good to me. I mean, I have my gold right here. But if you don't want to buy gold, buy me some silver. You know, I will take both. I'm actually not buying either one right now, although I expect to buy more. I'm not very good at market timing, but I hope that if they go down some more, I will buy more of each. Aabha, before this is over, the next year or two or three, gold and silver are going to go up a huge amount.
That's so interesting, Jim, because I was going to ask you, given the kind of gains that we have seen, yes, they've been looking good, but, you know, are they starting to look expensive, and what's the kind of increase you're anticipating? So when you're saying the next 2-3 years, I mean, how much more? And is this a good time then to get in and stay invested in through ETFs, or what would you recommend?
Well, if a person does not own some gold or silver, she should buy some more. She should certainly buy some gold and silver. Everybody should have some gold and silver. If you know a lot about it, then you can buy more, and you can buy a whole lot of gold and silver if you know whole lot about it, and you will get the timing. You can buy ETFs, you can buy gold itself, you can buy stocks. There are many, you can buy futures. There are many ways to buy gold and silver, depending on what you know.
Okay, so between gold and silver then, which one comes first and why?
For me, today's prices, silver comes first. Okay. Silver is down 60% from its all-time high. Gold is down 10% from its all-time high. So on a historic basis, silver is much cheaper. If I were buying either one of them today, I would buy silver. Okay,
fair enough. And in terms of commodities vis-a-vis what we're seeing otherwise in equity markets, how do you think it stands on a relative basis as an attractive investment option?
Aabha, as you look around the world, we know that bonds are a bubble. Bonds have never been this expensive in the entire history of the world. So that's a bubble. If you look at property in some countries, New Zealand, Korea, some places, property is a bubble and getting worse. If you look at stocks, I mean, stocks are beginning to form bubbles. Amazon never goes down. Samsung goes up every day. Tencent goes up every day. The Indian stock market's making new highs. So stocks are certainly not cheap. They're forming bubbles in some places. The cheapest asset class in the world, commodities. Silver is down 60% from its all-time high. Sugar is down huge from its all-time high. These are not bubble numbers. Commodities are still the cheapest asset class right now.
Are you expecting or anticipating any kind of correction or crash in the equity markets, Jim? Because as you mentioned, it's a global phenomenon, and especially what we're seeing on Wall Street and here in India. We've just continued to see markets trend higher and higher from one record to the other.
But watch India today. They will tell you. That's how you know. You think I know? I watch India today.
Cool.
No, I would suspect that the bubble is going to last for a while longer, because not all stocks are in the bubble yet. But when everything is in the stock market bubble, then it will be time to get out. I am not selling yet. I am not selling short. I am certainly not selling short. But if this thing has one last explosion, then I hope I'm smart enough to start selling, and to start selling short all over the world.
Okay. How much of one's portfolio, Jim, do you think should be in commodities? And I know I keep talking about gold and silver, but you're also looking at plenty of other commodities, and we'll come to that. But how much do you think should be in gold and silver right now?
It depends on how much you know. I have a fair amount in gold and silver. I've been buying it for decades. I think I know a little bit about gold and silver, but if you don't know what gold is or how to buy silver, please do not buy much of any of it. But before this is over, gold and silver are going to explode and go straight through the roof. And so you should own a lot of gold and silver if you know what you're doing.
Is this...
But Aabha, many Indians know a lot about gold and silver. You've been buying gold and silver for decades, for centuries.
Absolutely.
You know more about it than most people in the world. I would say India is the #1 gold country in the world and the #1 silver country in the world. So if you know a lot about it, start gearing up.
And that's just it. We're now starting to see that shift from people buying, the physical metal to actually looking at new ways to invest when it comes to gold and silver as well. And, talking about, buying into these commodities, is it also a hedge, Jim? Is it, are you talking about it from perhaps being a hedge against what could possibly happen otherwise in an overpriced equity market? Or are you saying that it is genuinely one of the better asset classes to invest in from a longer term point of view in terms of wealth creation?
It is a very well-priced and attractive asset class in 2021. The prices on a historic basis are cheap for most of them, whereas demand is going up. Governments all over the world are printing money. Throughout history, when there's a lot of money printing, it usually leads to inflation. You see inflation starting to happen. The way to protect yourself and the way to make money, Aabha, is to own the things that are going up in price. Well, the price of silver is going to go up in price. The price of many commodities. Aabha, copper, for instance, it looks as though we're all going to have electric cars in the future. Well, electric cars use several times as much copper as a petrol car. So the demand for many commodities is going to go up a lot, and they're printing a lot of money. The way to make money and to protect yourself is to own those things.
Okay, absolutely logical sense. And in terms of some of the other commodities that you are looking at, you mentioned, of course, something like copper. Agri-commodities is another space that you're quite active in, Jim. From an Indian investor point of view, where else do you feel the opportunity lies?
Please watch India Today, Aabha. That's how you find out. Don't ask me. Well, I see huge opportunities in agriculture. Agriculture has been a disaster for decades right now. The average age of farmers in America is 58 years old. In Japan, it's 66. More people in America study public relations than study agriculture. Nobody wants to become a farmer. As you know, the highest rate of suicide in the UK is in agriculture.
Right.
Many Indian farmers commit suicide. I mean, Aabha, it's a very underinvested and overlooked asset class in 2021. Well, unfortunately, food prices are going to go up a lot. I've explained that nobody wants to be a farmer. Nobody is going out into the fields because it's hard work and it's hot and you get dirty. But that means the food prices have been low and are low, and they have to go much higher. Now, none of us want to pay more for bread. None of us want to pay more for anything. But Aabha, if we don't pay more, we're not going to have any rice. We're not going to have anything. And I don't like to pay higher prices either. But I know if we don't have higher prices, we're not going to have any food or silver or copper or anything else. I hate to tell you, but prices have to go much higher. They're very, very depressed. In the 1980s, 70s and 1980s, food prices were much, much higher because there were no farmers and there was no supply. Those days are coming back again. I don't like it. You don't like it. But unfortunately, we have to have higher prices or we're not going to have any food.
Okay. So we were talking about EVs, Jim, and what you thought of that trend going forward. I know you said it might still take a while to pan out, but it's a very hot space here in India as well. A lot of companies getting into that space, and also, of course, from a more environmental, holistic perspective, EVs seem to, of course, be the big trend going forward.
Well, all over the world. I mean, it looks as though we're all going to have electric vehicles in the future. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but everywhere people are building them, buying them, and wanting them. So obviously, we're going to have electric vehicles. And if we have electric vehicles, the things that go into electric vehicles, copper, lithium, nickel, all the things that go into electric vehicles, the demand is going to go up and go up a lot.
Okay. All right. Couple of other trends I really wanted to discuss with you today while we have you. One is, of course, the crypto mania and what you make of it. The views seem to be so divergent across the world, from market experts on whether or not they believe in it as an asset class or even in its future.
Well, a lot of people have made a lot of money trading these trading vehicles. Not me. I have never bought nor sold. I have never sold them short. But the people who are trading them are great. But Aabha, remember, many of them have gone to zero. Many have disappeared. There were hundreds that have already gone away. Now, as long as they're trading vehicles, fine. If people want to trade it, let them trade it. My long-term view is that if they become currencies, and the optimists say they will be currencies, the governments are going to say, no, we're not going to let you. I mean, money is already in China. You cannot buy a taxi. You cannot take a taxi with money. You have to have your phone. You cannot buy ice cream. So it's already happening. America and many other countries are working on computer money. It's going to happen. Governments like it. But Aabha, I don't think that if the US, for instance, says, okay, now this is money in the future. But if you want to use that money over there, you can. It's not the way the United States government works. You know, those guys like power, they like control. So in my view, if and when it becomes real money, governments will act and stop it. But if it's just a trading vehicle, who cares?
Okay, fair enough. And what about the other new craze, which is NFTs, and tokenizing those online nuggets? Is that something that's caught your eye?
Well, it caught my eye because my wife is all excited and keen, and my wife is doing podcasts about NFTs.
That's amazing.
It hasn't caught my eye at all.
Okay.
But obviously I know about them. You want me to call my wife? She'll tell you all about them. I think it's absurd. But I mean, Aabha, if I want to buy a painting, I want to buy a painting and I want to look at it. If I want to buy a song. But to say, well, I mean, if I can go online and look at the painting, why should I buy it?
All right. Fair enough. So do you feel perhaps there is a growing trend among, I don't know if it's whether to say millennials or whether to say the new age investor, to find alternative avenues to invest their money? Is this a function of excess liquidity or novelty factor, Jim?
Well, the main thing is excess liquidity. You hit the nail. There's a lot of money, a lot of free money around. But also what always happens, and it has for hundreds of years, when a market's been going up for a long time, a lot of new people come in. They tell their friends, this is so much fun. This is so easy, and you can make a lot of money. You get a lot of new investors. But I've seen this movie before. I know how this movie is going to end. All these new people think it's wonderful and it's easy and they can get rich. But Aabha, it always ends very badly. And it's been going on for hundreds of years.
Right.
India, everywhere in the world, not just in America. And it's going to end very, very badly. It always happens. They come in, it's new, it's easy. They don't have much experience. They think it's magic. They think they discovered it.
Yes.
They think they discovered the bull market, and they think they're smart. And one of the things that I have learned is many people, Aabha, do not know the difference in a bull market and brains. You know, when everything is going up, we all think we're smart.
Right.
The market always shows me, you're not so smart. And the market will show everybody else, you're not so smart.
So tell us, for our viewers, Jim, and many of them will be new to your story, tell us of your experience and the kind of history you have, particularly investing in, some of these commodities and the successes you've seen, as well as perhaps an anecdote on how you've learned this on your own journey.
Aabha, I have made lots of mistakes in my life. Oh, that's the best way to learn. The more mistakes you make, the more you will learn, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Do you want me to talk about my mistakes? Yeah, I've had some successes. Yes, I've been investing for a few decades, and sometimes I get it right. All over the world, stocks, bonds, currencies, commodities, everything, long and short. But Aabha, I have made so. You want to hear about my first wife?
Yes,
What a
absolutely.
mistake. What a mistake that was. Oh my gosh. I can also tell you about some of my early investments. At one point, I made some fantastic successes when I was young, and I thought I was smart.
Right.
The market showed me I was not so smart. You think you're a smart kid. You don't know what you're doing. And I lost everything.
So what would be the lessons you'd share with some of the new investors today, Jim? And we have a lot of them watching. It's just like you said, everyone wants to get in on the party, and it has become a lot easier to do so. So, share with them some things to keep in mind.
It is not easy. It looks easy. Everybody turns on India today and says, I could have bought Apple. I could have done that. It's easy. It's easy. Anybody. But so the first thing you need to know is not easy. And the second thing you need to know is do not do anything unless you yourself know a lot about it. Don't listen to Jim Rogers. Don't even listen to India Today. Don't even listen to Aabha. Stay with what you yourself know and just wait. And if you say, I don't know anything, then I say, don't do anything. Just wait. Wait until you yourself know what you're doing.
Okay. You talked about currencies, Jim. The dollar does seem to be on shaky ground, but we've been talking about how there doesn't seem to be much of an alternative. What's your view on currencies and where do you see value right now?
Well, I own US dollars. The US dollar is not a sound currency. The United States is the largest debtor nation in world history. No nation has ever been so deep in debt, but I own it. So you should say, why do you own it? I own it because when we start having problems in the markets, people look for a safe haven. They think the US dollar is a safe haven, so they will all buy the US dollar. It will go up, it will get overpriced. I hope I'm smart enough to sell it because the US dollar is a very, very flawed currency. And it's not going to last much longer. No currencies lasted more than 100, 150 years on top. I don't like to say it, but the US dollar is coming to an end. Now, what you're going to say is, since you're a smart reporter, is, what are you going to buy?
Exactly.
I know what you're going to ask. I know. Well, I don't know, silver and gold, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens with other currencies around the world. The euro is got many, many problems. The Japanese yen has huge problems going forward. The British pound, oh my gosh, it's as bad as the dollar. So it's hard to, I don't know right now. The rupee, no, I don't think so. No. I don't think it's, as much as I love India, I don't think I'm going to buy the currency. I don't know yet.
So where does India stack up, Jim, in the overall scheme of things? We've obviously benefited from the excess liquidity and the easy money regime, but we also have a lot of domestic traction that we've now seen, especially over the last year or so. How do you see India's prospects when you're looking at the emerging market scenario?
Well, Aabha, the Indian market is one of the strongest stock markets in the world this year. I think it probably is the strongest stock market in the world. You and I are not the only people who know that things are going right in India, or that there's a lot of liquidity in India. I don't like to buy things making all-time highs. There are people who are good at it. I am not. But obviously, India is doing something. Well, the liquidity is certainly great for India. Many new investors, the same thing. Many people are going into the Indian market. I am not. I am not going, very few markets for me right now in 2021, because they're all so strong. There's so much liquidity, so much exuberance.
So
I'd like to find something that's depressed.
that's we're all wondering what's going on, Jim, but not complaining for the moment.
Well, let me tell you what's going on.
Okay.
Money is being printed all over the world.
Yeah.
Washington, London, Tokyo, everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. It's happened before, Aabha.
And so how long does it normally take to come crashing down? And can one apply the same historical trend to what's happening today, or what's different this time around?
It's never, if you hear somebody say,
Yeah.
it's different this time, you close your wallet and go to the other room. It's never different.
Okay.
You have the same exuberance, you have the same madness, the same easy money. It usually it ends when everything is going up. So far, not many, most things are going up, not everything yet, but
Right.
property, bonds, stocks are starting to go up. But when everything is good, I will tell you, when you go to the dentist or you go to the hairdresser and the receptionist says, "Oh, Aabha, tell me about stocks. I want to buy some stocks." Or when the hairdresser says to you, "Aabha, let me tell you about stocks. I have some great stocks for you to buy."
Yeah.
Then it's getting very, very late in the day.
Getting late. And that's what's happening. That's totally what's happening. So just before we wind up, Jim, but I want to get a sense from you on what the biggest risk or tipping point is. For a long while, we thought it would be when the Fed would change its policy. But given that they've A, said it's definitely not before next year, B, it will be phased out, the markets probably price it in, are seeing it coming. Is that really going to shake the market? I mean, possibly to some extent, but is it well priced in or anticipated? Are there other shocks that one should be prepared for?
When they start, everybody will get scared.
Okay.
But there's an old rule, because I'm old, and so I know some of the old rules. When the Federal Reserve, I'll use that, when the central bank raises interest rates 3 times, the third time you get out.
Okay.
The first time people get scared, it will drop. The second time it will drop. The third time, you better get out and go for the hills. Go to the beach, because after 3 times, then it's over. Now, I don't know if it's going to work that way this time or not, but historically, for decades, at least in the American market, when the Fed goes up 3 times, you better go to the beach.
Wow. Jim Rogers, thank you so much for joining us today. It was fabulous speaking with you, and thank you for joining us on this auspicious occasion of Dhanteras.
Well, and when you go down to the shop, please buy me some gold. Okay?
I will. Thank you so much. Jim,
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.